Hey everyone, I'm Austin and this is Sad Boys Anime. Today I want to talk about some anime that actually have good LGBTQ plus representation. I plan to make a video about the issue with yaoi and yuri portrayals of queer folk in anime and manga at a later date, so stay tuned for that. For now though, here's a list of LGBT anime I recommend in no particular order. Let's get started. Yuri on Ice is probably the most well-known show on this list. In 2016, following its release, this anime blew up almost instantly. Everyone was talking about it. For anyone who's been living under a rock, Yuri on Ice is a sports anime revolving around figure skating. Our main character, Yuri, at the beginning of the show, is depressed after a huge defeat in the Grand Prix finals. He is approached by a world-famous figure skater by the name of Victor. This happens because a video arises of him practicing Victor's routines, which are notoriously difficult. The animation alone in this show makes it easy to recommend, but of course, it's on this list because of the LGBT influence, so let's talk about that. This show has a lot of gay characters, and it's really refreshing to see them come together so naturally. There's basically a love triangle between Yuri, Victor, and the other Yuri that ends up going by Yurio. Each of these characters are unique in their own way and have amazing chemistry with one another, as well as the other skaters you meet throughout the show. At only 12 episodes long, this anime is a quick, happy jaunt through the world of figure skating and gay relationships. The huge success of this anime led to many more queer-influenced shows to start coming out, so let's continue. Bloom Into You is a romance anime centered around two high school girls. What I like most about this anime is how self-aware it is. Its witty comedy makes it a really fun show to watch. There's talk in the fandom for this show about our main character, Yu Koito, being asexual, and I think this is an interesting take to think about if you decide to watch this anime. Yu feels like she can't fall in love after she realizes she doesn't have romantic feelings towards boys. She has always enjoyed reading shoujo-style mangas, so she has a vague idea of how it's supposed to feel. She looks up to her student council president and realizes that she can fall in love after feeling romantically for her. I like how this anime brings these feelings some much-needed representation in media. It's one of the few Yuri-style anime that actually feels genuine. Horo Musuko, or Wandering Sun in English, is considered the trans anime by many. Shuichi Nitori was born male but identifies as female, and Yoshino Takatsuki was born female but identifies as male. The two of them go to the same school and quickly become friends, encouraging one another to dress in the way they want to rather than the way they are encouraged to by society. This anime is really important because of the way trans people are treated in Japan. Here in the West, we have a lot of groups advocating for trans rights and trying to give support to those who need it. While it's not perfect, Japan is still really far behind on this front. There are still laws making it extremely difficult to change your name and gender, as well as get any surgeries pertaining to gender corrections. While this anime is really good about depicting trans characters, know that it's written by a cisgendered woman, so it isn't perfect. But for what it is, it's still really important and beautifully written. Takako Shimura is clearly an ally, and has written a number of LGBT-inclusive manga, so check out her other works if you're interested. I left a few links in the description, so take a look after this video. This show is a little different from a lot of the others on this list. I wanted to include it for the gender neutrality and themes of bodily image that determine one's place in society and how horrible that feels. This anime is one that non-binary audiences can relate heavily to. A lot of people who talk about this show are only talking about the art and the use of CG animation in a way we hadn't seen before. In the anime, the characters are all referred to using they, them, theirs pronouns. In the manga, interestingly enough, the authors opted to avoid using any pronouns at all. On the surface, this anime is just about humanoid crystal people trying to keep away the creatures hunting them for their bodies to use as decoration. As you watch though, this anime starts to dip into themes of selfhood and figuring out your place in the world. It's really interesting to see how a show that has such strong presence in the anime community isn't being talked about for its non-binary characters and themes. For that reason, I recommend more people watch this show. This is one of those anime that's hard to even describe. There's a lot going on in it. I saw it described as psychedelic, and honestly, I think that fits. All you really need to know is that you're in for a wild ride, and it's really, really gay. This show is on my list because it's a classic. The anime came out in 1997 and continues to be one that people talk about today, especially in LGBTQ-centered places. The whole cast is extremely effeminate, whether being the males or the females, and there's a lot of gender fluidity as well. Even though the main characters technically explicitly never mention they're a lesbian, it's implied and confirmed by the director and writers for the show. It has so much gay energy that you have to experience it to understand what I mean. I want to include Sailor Moon on this list because it's always been queer-coded. They changed a lot of it for American audiences, but in Season 5, they went all out and showed off the queerness front and center, rather than hiding it behind subtle context clues. This show is incredibly important to a lot of LGBT people I know because of how much it made them realize their identities. Most of the Sailor Scouts throughout the show are clearly presenting as females and are comfortable doing so. The one that stands out the most, while outside of the magical girl transformation, is Sailor Uranus, who has a very masculine style. It is clearly stated that they don't really care what gender they're referred to as. In Season 5 specifically, the Sailor Starlight group are presented as an all-male boy band, but when they transform, they're all females with very lesbian tendencies. This could be seen as non-binary, cross-dressing, or a general gender fluidity, but either way, it's definitely queer AF. So much so, it wasn't able to be shown outside of Japan. One last thing to note is that Sailor Moon Crystal, the remake, is much more blatant with its characters in regards to their fluid gender and sexuality. But, in my opinion, it loses the 90s charm as far as the art style goes. Either way though, Sailor Moon is definitely an anime you should watch if you're looking for LGBT anime. Zombieland Saga isn't focused around a main cast of LGBT characters, but I wanted to include it because of the way it treats its trans character. This show is a comedy about an idol group made up of undead girls from various eras throughout Japanese history. Each girl had a very different life, and this translates to their personalities when they're resurrected as zombies. This show, despite being a comedy, has a lot of moments of realness that ground it and help the emotional drama make more of an impact. Lily, for example, dies after having a heart attack from seeing her first facial hair grow. Her whole team supports her identity and stands up for her. It's presented in a comedic light, but it's still really important because she's just treated as who she is, and nobody gives it a second thought. It's really good representation for how trans people should be treated, with respect. Dokusei is a short film adapted from Volume 1 of the manga under the same name. This anime is a quick watch at only an hour's runtime, but it will leave you with such a wholesome, happy feeling. It's pretty much just a really straightforward romance story about two boys falling in love. What more could you want? It's so sweet you feel like your teeth are just going to rot. There isn't much to say about it without spoiling anything, so take my word for it. If you're looking for an amazingly cute, to-the-point story that depicts two boys falling in love, then please do yourself a favor and watch this film. Given has been gaining a lot of popularity recently, and it's getting a movie, so now is the perfect time to watch it and be involved in the fandom. This show is so good. It looks beautiful, the character designs are all really cute, there's actual heartfelt emotions, and the characters all have a genuine connection. You can tell from the first episode that Mafuyu has a lot of baggage that he's carrying around, and you learn more about it as you go. Ritsuka is the more confident of the two and doesn't really care about what people think of him. When Ritsuka realizes he likes Mafuyu, he has a hard time understanding his own feelings about him. One of his older friends is able to tell him that it's okay and help him understand that his feelings are valid. Everything about the way these characters are written, it feels like they were really thorough with making sure their relationships felt real rather than forced. It's definitely one of those that can get really intense emotionally, but it's done so well handling some of these topics that it's worth watching. Number 6 is an anime I feel like not enough people talk about. Sure, it's an older show airing in 2011, but it's one that made a lasting impression when I watched it. Okay, picture this. The world is split up into 6 city-like zones, with the outside of those cities being remains after a brutal world war. Our main character Shion is living in zone number 6, which is the most highly regarded zone, with his parents essentially being elites. He meets Nezumi, a boy who is likely being used as a lab rat for experiments inside the cities, and Shion helps to hide him. But when the officials find out, he's kicked out of the prestigious academy where he attends, and is forced to do community service and live in the suburbs. While he's living there, he finds out about one of the secret experiments being conducted. When he questions his superiors about it, he gets detained. Nezumi rescues him and takes him outside of the city. From there, they grow closer as Shion learns the truths of what goes on within the walls he grew up in. This show has a lot of darker scenes in it, especially compared to the ones I've talked about so far. But the relationship between Shion and Nezumi is very organic. It's clear that these two love each other, and it's really wholesome to watch. Alright, so that was my list of 10 anime for y'all to watch. If you want me to make a more in-depth review of any of these shows, let me know. Have you seen any of these? Are there any others you can think of? Comment down below what you thought. If you liked this video, give it a like and consider subscribing. See you next week with another video. Peace.